just take a fast look at how you might use this pummeling situation in a punching scenario, like an MMA environment. I think it's important because I love jiu-jitsu as a fighting art as much as I do a sporting art. So when we have control of the head, because that's where I need to be on, we're going to assume that he has inside ties because that's where he should be, especially when there's punches involved. If I'm using this proactively, anytime that I have a hand on the head, this hand is going to be punching, okay? And when it punches, we're going to flare our arm knuckle down. So I'm not trying to punch this way. I'm not trying to hit him more or less like a short hook. I'm trying to hit him more like a Russian hook. So it's an elongated hook. The reason why I'm doing that is, well, that's not fun to be hit with. There's no padding on the knuckle of the thumb, so if you can hit with the knuckle of the thumb. But it's to have my hand in position where it's ready to pummel. So when I have my hand already turned in the direction and my elbow is flared high, when he stops that, it's easy for me to pummel. If I have my hand drop down like a short hook, it's easy for him to block that and keep his elbow closed because my elbow is closed. I don't want my elbow closed. I want to have my elbow flared high. So if you're using this in an environment where you're punching, to either get an overhook or just a win pummeling battle, have your hand turned over so that when it goes to hit, my elbow is high and I can win the inside. It's just off of a block of a punch. And then we've won the inside with our T-Rex hand, and now the battle ensues. Remember what we talked about. Could be a two-stage battle here. If he's down and being conservative, this first hand may only go get the head while I'm ready to start the pummel on this side. Punching scenarios, when we're punching, it's usually not as difficult to keep him down and win the elbow tie because this arm isn't pushing up as much. He's got to be relatively conservative if he's blocking punches with his head. If he's blocking punches and his head is up high, he runs risk of getting cracked still. So typically the head will be a little lower. This will be pushing a little bit less if he's being defensive. Now, caveat is if he's being offensive, and we already looked at what if he pushes up and then tries to punch, we move under. If Kyle's pushing up to hit me, go ahead, buddy. It's very difficult for him to hit with this arm. It's not impossible. It's just difficult because this is the side I'm pulling his head down. So if he were to take this inside tie out, it's not hard to pull him to an angle where he has no post. So typically speaking, this arm is his post hand. So as I'm pulling and he is driving away, he's posting with this hand in my tendon. And that's creating distance for this hand to rain down some punches. And here it comes. So when that happens, the pummel battle, it's somewhat predictable. Okay? It's on this side, normally on this side. So as he draws up the punch, it's not a far stretch for me to keep in mind that I can make my shield, cover the punch, and then bring him into a position where we have overhooks or the whibs wrap or whatever we might be using in that scenario. If he does use this hand as a punching hand, we're already halfway to the inside. So it's not a far stretch to bring my body to the side and start creating an angle where your only opening is the side of your body. And if I can keep the side of my body relatively small and use my knees, we can bring him into a position again where he's now hugging my waist. So just a few simple things that if offensive punching, you're able to do it, pummeling becomes much easier if you can punch from the guard because it's easier to get people to open up. When it's a sport and they're closed down, it becomes much more difficult to open people up, so you have to be a little craftier with your... It's important for us to take a look at another mechanism of pummeling. Most of what we're doing is pummeling up through the middle. We can also pummel down through the middle, and when we pummel down through the middle, what I mean by that is up through the middle is we're coming up and to the insides. We could pummel down through the middle as well and create scenarios that are good for us. benefits of pummeling down through the middle is that we get an underhook, and then we can start isolating an arm up to our head and so forth, so create Udagatami attacks and things like this. But that's not our goal on this particular video. And the other thing to be mindful when we're pummeling down through the middle in the closed guard, we wouldn't want to really do that if this was a punching scenario.